Today we will be concentrating on two of the most common use cases of artificial intelligence in academic writing. So number one, how can you use AI-powered tools to find relevant information and relevant sources for your research? And two, how can you use AI platforms to improve your writing style? And in this latter case, I will not just talk about grammar and stylistic issues, but also about ways you can use AI to assess and fine-tune the logic, cohesion, and scientific rigor of your papers. So altogether, we will be discussing 7 different tools in various depths in the following order. So first I will talk a bit about Perplexity, then a bit about ChatGPT, which is the most popular tool among the students who joined us here today based on the survey that we concluded before this training session. Then I will talk a bit about Gemini, Scite, Coral AI, Quillbot, and then Writefull. Okay, so let's start with Perplexity, and I will try to share my screen so that you will be able to see what I see. In the meantime, feel free to write to me here in the chat section. I'm wondering how many of you have used Perplexity so far. Me, for one, I'm quite satisfied with Perplexity, and I like it a lot for a very simple reason. So Perplexity is competing against Google. Right, so it's a bit of an odd one out here for today's training session, because it's not a generative AI platform per se. It is a search engine that is coupled with a large language model in order to give you tailor-made answers to your search queries by also mentioning the exact sources that they used to come up with an answer. So while in case of Google, if you start writing something, what happens is that the first ones that appear, the first couple of hits that appear as a result of your search will be based on sponsorship. In terms of Perplexity, it will be based on the most relevant sources according to the keywords that are embedded in your research query. And so that's one thing that is already better, I believe, for academic purposes. So if you ask a question, you have several opportunities to fine-tune the answer that you will receive, right? So this is how the opening page of Perplexity looks like. There is the search toolbar right in the middle. And what you can do already here at the get-go, you can start deciding whether you want. I'm using the free version right now. So if I just want to have a very, very fast answer, let's say, provide a detail. This will be the basic prompt that I will be working with today. Provide an account of all the legal, political, and factual circumstances that led to the International Criminal Court to issue an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So right now we are going to just simply ask Perplexity to do a very quick response to this question. And as you can see, it starts working, and we will have an answer quite quickly. I will switch back to this part in due time. What you can do if you want to have a more sophisticated answer is to click on the Research tab. And then another very smart thing that you can do with Perplexity, and this is very good if you are a student or a professor, or if you work in academia. Here, if you click on this globe icon, you can set the sources for your search. And what's particularly important for us in this regard is that you can search for academic papers, right? So if you click on this one, then I take out the web source, and I will now just focus on academic papers. So what does that mean? We will put in the same prompt, but now the response will be collected from open access journals that are relevant to my search question. Right, so if we go back to the first initial question, you can see that my answer was upgraded by default to Pro Search because it was a bit more complex than a question that will be the system will be able to answer with a more simple query. So it used 38 sources. And here you can check the sources that it actually used to compile the answer for you. Now, needless to say, again, from an academic perspective, this is particularly important because you can start scrolling down and assessing whether or not you accept these particular sources as legitimate, like Human Rights Watch or Al Jazeera. So that's really particularly useful, especially because I think if you are talking about these issues with your specific professors, one of the things that everybody is trying to emphasize for students is that you should always accept these kind of outputs that you receive from generative AI tools with a critical mindset, right? So don't just accept by default the first answer that you receive from any AI-powered system. You should always double check your sources to make sure that it's reliable. Especially if you are going to work with it in terms of your academic paper, because you are then particularly eligible to double check your sources. And as you can see, so it's been a while now, but Perplexity is still working on the deep research part. So I would just leave it here. And since this takes a lot of time, in the meanwhile, I will just slightly mention to you that if you even want to have a better even more thorough result from Perplexity, then what you can do is kind of adopt a similar prompting strategy that you would use for ChatGPT. What am I referring to? So now the prompt that we inserted was this. But if you want to prompt Perplexity the way that ChatGPT is usually prompted, then you can do two very simple things. You provide the context and you provide the expectation. Right? So this is, by the way, the prompting strategy of OpenAI, the one that's recommended by OpenAI. I will just put this here in the chat section for you because luckily for us, OpenAI has a free online academy. And I highly recommend that you look around on that homepage because one source is better than the other, and it really provides some of the basic ideas behind how to use ChatGPT for certain specific use cases. So this particular video, it's about prompting strategies, and while there are several prompting strategy frameworks out there, like the Ryzen framework or others, OpenAI really boils it down to a very simple thing. Just provide the context and then the expectation, right? So if I want to fine-tune the detail that I give to Perplexity, now what I can do is say not just that provide a detailed and comprehensive account of the legal, political, and factual circumstances that led to the International Criminal Court to issue an arrest warrant for the Israeli Prime Minister, but I further add the type of output that I expect the system to produce. Right, so what I will now do is to simply add include references to relevant official ICC documents, court cases, legal filings, statements by the ICC prosecutor, and credible secondary analyses from scholarly and reputable journalistic sources. Use also shadow reports and other advocacy documents from rights organizations and Israeli NGOs. Do not include news article sources, as the information will be used for an academic paper. Right, so prioritize credibility, completeness, and precision. And earlier on, the news sources were still in the prompt, so I just deleted that. Right, and then you can perform the same deep research. Now I will set the focus of the answer to web and academic, because I want to have both of them. Why is this important? If you have a research topic similar to mine, my original research topic pertains to minority protection. And when it comes to minority protection, there are many cases in which you need not just academic sources to properly cover a topic, but you need white papers from central governments, soft law instruments, you need documents from various international fora, you need certain shadow reports and other reports from relevant rights organizations and NGOs, and that's not that obvious that you would find these, right? So, but if you put that in your prompt and fine-tune your search query, Perplexity will provide you with these. So let's get back to, so this is now the fully academic focused Perplexity search query. As you can see, in the first case, it used 30 sources. Here it's 48, but what's interesting is that they all come from semantic scholars. So you have only and exclusively academic papers that are open access, and again, you can click on them, you can go through, and you can open the specific paper to double check if that is something of interest to you. Right, so you can double check, and that's also, please, something again I request and recommend you to do. Always double check the sources that you are working with. So we will leave this this one here for a second, and I will jump just quickly to ChatGPT, because you mentioned again in the survey that we did prior to this training session. 80% of you responded that you mostly use ChatGPT for your work or your university assessments. And you also responded that you mostly use it to generate ideas and to do translations. So, but there are other use cases for ChatGPT that you could utilize for your studies. One is quite similar to what we are trying to achieve here with Perplexity. It's called deep research. Now, deep research in ChatGPT can take up to 20-30 minutes. So I generated an answer already before this session, because we don't have that kind of time and I don't want to have any system troubles. The catch here is that in order to do a deep research, you need either the ChatGPT Plus or the team version, the latter. I'm using the latter. So you need to pay for it, but it's worth having this kind of leverage, because it's really good in providing in-depth knowledge about pretty much every aspect of a specific topic. So here you can see the prompt I gave to ChatGPT Deep Research. It was exactly the same as with Perplexity, but you can see that, so usually what happens is that the first response is that ChatGPT then goes on its way asking for additional information about the search topic that I just entered in order to have the best possible answer for you. Right, so it asks, do you want account to also include events related to the Israel-Gaza conflict? Should I include similar ICC proceedings against other officials, or should I focus only on the Prime Minister Netanyahu? Are you interested in responses or legal arguments from the Israeli government or its legal advisors as part of the political context? And then you can provide a very brief response to these, and then afterwards you will get this extremely long answer, which is very thorough it draws up a complete chronology of events of how we reached to the point that the ICC moved against the Israeli Prime Minister, which also includes relevant detail to the jurisdiction and the legal basis of the ICC to engage in such an action in the first place, the legal characterization, the charges against Netanyahu, to the extent that it even goes down to certain articles that are embedded within the Rome Statute of the ICC, and it actually summarizes in bullet points what the ICC claimed against Netanyahu: war crime of starvation of civilians, war crime of intentionally directing attacks against civilians, crimes against humanity of murder, crimes against humanity of persecution, and so on and so forth. And it also mentions the specific article again, so it's very useful if you want to have a thorough knowledge about something. And just to show you how deep the rabbit hole goes, so if you just copy paste this whole deep research and you put it into a Word document, this really gives you a good picture about how vast this knowledge pool is getting with ChatGPT deep research, right? So I simply copy pasted the whole thing, and as you can see, it is 25 pages long. Right, so that being said, this is the point where, of course, I have to mention some very basic observations on the ethical use of generative AI tools. So now that I copy-pasted this whole thing into a Word document, this is certainly not something that I will be able to use unchanged in this particular form as ChatGPT provided it for me. Why? Because if I were to submit this material under my name, then that conduct would that I would engage in unethical conduct. Why? Because it is one of the most fundamental principles in pretty much every university's life, that university students and professors are expected to adhere to the norms of scientific referencing and of academic integrity. So, if you get an assignment from your supervisor or your professor, and then instead of actually doing it, you just simply prompt ChatGPT to give you an output, which you then submit under your name, then you are committing an ethical offense, and then in response to that offense, you might face disciplinary action from your school. So please always pay special attention to what kind of materials you are generating, how you are using that, and what is permissible in your university. You should always try to have a conversation with your own professors to know precisely what is expected of you and what is permissible in terms of generative AI use. Right? So this was ChatGPT Deep Research. Another very useful function of ChatGPT, and you don't really need the paid version, this is also available in the free version, it's kind of the visualization. So here what I did is that I uploaded a document that contains my research on how money is being distributed in Romania between various regions. Right. So this is the table. It's a very simple table that contains a compilation of data from the Romanian National Institute of Statistics. I gathered these data from their homepage. It's a very simple table, but let's say you are not very proficient in using Excel, but you are required to do a graph for one of your papers. Then what you can do is you simply take this table as a separate document, you upload it to ChatGPT, and you give out the very simple prompt. Again, I provide the context first. The uploaded document contains a table of the GDP per capita development in the counties of the Central Development NUTS2 region in Romania. And now the expectation. Based on the data included in this table, generate a downloadable graph that accurately reflects the GDP per capita development within the indicated time frame. And that's exactly what it does. So here you can see this particular graph that it produced. Unfortunately, I'm no longer able to download it due to certainly some issues with ChatGPT today, so sorry, but I will try to increase it as much as I can. So here you see the various counties, Fehér, Brassó, Szeben, Kovászna, Hargita, Maros, and here you see the GDP per capita development over time. And you can again start double checking whether these data actually is good. So if you see, let's say, this orange line here, it's for Brassó. In 2021, it was slightly above 14,000 euros. So you can go back to your initial document and see that, voila, indeed, Brassó in 2021 was slightly above 14,000 euros. So this is an accurate graph, right? So this is very good. Again, if you want to kind of navigate your way around having to use Excel, but want to have very good graphs as part of your papers. So this is use case number 2 for ChatGPT. And another one that is extremely useful is creating your own GPTs. Right? So again, this is available if you are using the Plus or the Team version. You simply go to the top right corner, click to Own GPTs, and then here you have the possibility to create your own GPT. I made one, again, before this training session to not take up too much time with it. And if you see, it's relatively straightforward and easy how you can do that. So first you name it. What I wanted to do is create an academic writing GDP. What is the primary brief description of this GPT? Very simple. This GPT analyzes uploaded manuscripts and assesses them based on academic writing standards. Right? And then this is the important part where you have to provide more detailed instruction about what you expect this particular GPT to do for you. Right? So what we are doing now, we are creating a learning buddy for you that you can use if you want to assess your paper before submitting it to your supervisors or your professors, right? So the instruction goes as follows. I will not read the whole thing because it's very long. This is the part where you need to be as specific as possible. So this GPT uses open access scholarly literature, academic writing handbooks, and stylistic guides to critically analyze uploaded academic manuscripts. It evaluates the soundness of the analytical framework, the logical structure, and argumentative flow. Plus, it evaluates the cohesion between the research objectives, the research questions, and the applied methodology. Right? And then I go further that the assistant should assess the manuscript's degree of novelty within the research field, because that's something that is always required from you. Your papers should always have a certain added value to that field that you're researching. How well it is positioned in relation to the existing body of literature, the relevance and integration of the cited works, potential gaps or overlooked debates. Right? And once you have this, you just simply click here. You upload the specific file that you want it to get analyzed, and then you run the whole program, which will give you an assessment such as this one. So first, I uploaded this paper, which I'm currently working on. It's called Dual Roles and Rights Implications, the Unsettled Dynamics of AI Use in Relation to Minoritized Communities. So it's an assessment of how artificial intelligence affects minority communities. Right? And so there are positive and negative use cases, of course, there as well. So first, it provides me with an overall assessment. And then it goes into detail, like what are the strengths, what are the limitations, and what are the recommendations based on those limitations. So, for example, it argues that my paper in its current form lacks a methodological reflection on the limitation or biases in source selection, because indeed this particular paper of mine relies heavily on NGO reports, which is what I mentioned earlier. So the recommendation is to include methodological reflection paragraph to address these limitations, especially the ones on the, relating to the access to verifiable sources in authoritarian context. Additionally, it also suggests to consider adding a table or matrix comparing the 10 cases that I mentioned in this particular paper across relevant variables, for example, level of AI use, rights violated or protected, and the political regime where the said practice took place. And then it goes on and on to reflect on the structure and argumentative flow of my paper, the novelty and positioning of the literature embedded in that paper, stylistic and rhetorical quality of the paper, and so on and so forth. So this will, of course, never be as good as sitting down with your supervisors and your professors for an actual in-depth conversation. But it is very useful to create these kind of learning buddies for yourself in order to fine-tune some of your papers before you submit it to your professors, especially if it considers your thesis, because there you want to double-check whether or not it's good enough for submission. And then at the end, it suggests some actionable steps I can make to improve my paper in form of a table. Now, if you do not want to have the, if you do not want to pay, or you don't have the means to pay for ChatGPT, you can have a similar assessment with Gemini, right? And that's the third tool that we are going to look at very briefly, because in practice it really does the same as GPT. The only difference is, again, that you don't need to pay for it. So here is the link. I put it in the chat section for Gemini. Feel free to start just fooling around with it while we are talking. And as the intro says, Gemini has so-called gems, which is the functional equivalent for your own GPTs within ChatGPT. And gems are custom AI experts for help on any topic. Gems can be anything from a career coach or brainstorm partner to coding helper, right? So once you enter Gemini gems, this is the surface that you will have to work with. And we are performing exactly the same task. We want to have an academic writing learning buddy, or an academic writing gem this time. The drill is pretty much the same. So you first insert what the purpose and the goal of this particular gem should be. And again, provide expert level feedback on academic papers based on the PDF files I uploaded as your knowledge base. So what I did here is I wanted to fine-tune my system a bit. So what I did is I took methodological books that I bought for myself and uploaded them into this system. And of course, this is only available to me because I don't want to have any kind of copyright infringement. So this is a closed system that is only and exclusively available for me. I uploaded 10 different sources. All academic methodological sources on academic writing, and I want this gem to use that as a benchmark in helping to improve my writing in terms of its analytical framework, in terms how well the research objective and the research question is articulated, easy to follow logical structure, novelty and content. academic rigor and well-founded arguments, substantiated methodology that is adequate to analyze the research question, grabbing the reader's attention, and having a neutral and objective tone for your paper. And again, once you run this particular gem, it will come out with an analysis that is a bit similar to what ChatGPT does. First, an overall assessment, then it gives you specific areas for improvement, like, for example, clarity and precision. Some sentences and phrases are vague or lack precision, which can lead to ambiguity. And it already gives me an example of such ambiguity, which can be found in my abstract. So it says that this particular sentence, this methodology assesses AI's dual role in either promoting or infringing upon human rights across both democratic and authoritarian political systems. This is a bit vague. Why? It gives the reasoning. The terms promoting and infringing are quite broad. It would be precise to specify how AI promotes and infringes upon human rights. So it also gives a suggestion on how I should fine-tune the wording, which is this: AI's dual role is either facilitating the protection of or contributing to the violation of human rights. This provides a clear contrast. And then, here's the interesting point, it provides a reference to one of the source materials, one of the benchmarks that I uploaded to the system, which is Zihui Fang's work. And within that, the specific reference would be page 255. So again, if you want to have a more specific input on this particular observation, then you can just click on the source that you uploaded in advance, go to that particular page, and check out what's written in that particular source, right? So this is Gemini Gems. It's really useful. Again, the best thing is to sit down with someone who has actual knowledge, to have a human conversation about your paper. But the next best thing is to try to create these kind of learning buddies for you to improve your own specific paper, right? So these were the first three tools. The next one I'm going to talk about is called Scite. And it's almost too good to be true. And I'm actually always a bit reluctant to show this to students, because it is extremely helpful if you want to do a literature review, right? Because sometimes you can get stuck with literature reviews, right? So you might run out of ideas, run out of sources, you might get a writer's block, maybe you are trying to explore a new topic and you're not really familiar about what are the main sources, who are the main authors that you should be focusing on. So Scite helps you in this regard a lot. And this is, again, what I'm using is the paid version. The free version is also very good, but it's, of course, limited in its capabilities. So one thing that Scite is extremely good for is to assessing whether a specific source that you are looking for was cited somewhere else, and whether this citation was supporting, merely mentioning, or contrasting certain views within that specific source. So what am I referring to? Here is one of the most highly cited papers from Borobashi Albert László, who is a network scientist. Emergence of scaling in random networks. So this is the original, this is the homepage of this particular paper. And as you can see in the right-hand side, you have the small ribbon thing here, right? This appears once you add this particular, I'm using Firefox, so this is the add-on for Firefox. Again, I will put this here in the chat section for you so you can start trying it out. Voila, there it is. And once you add this add-on to your browser, if you click on these kind of pages where you have academic papers embedded, this small thing here will appear. Why is this good for me? Because already without having to go to the site's opening page, I know that Scite indexed nearly 33,000 references for this particular paper. And now it's the interesting part. You see this little green sign, then a gray one below that, and then this blue question mark below that. This is what a site is categorizing the citations that were made to this particular paper in various forms. So if you click on this, again, this could take some time for it to generate, but it brings me to the Scite AI page of that particular source that I was referring to. And once it's loaded, this is what you will have. Again, I will just shut it down because it can take a lot of time. And I loaded it beforehand. So here you see a lot of references. All right, so you have 316 sources that referenced this particular paper from Borobashi, Albert, Laszlo in a supporting manner. So that means that it validated some of the findings that Borobashi made. It has 19,000 sources that merely mention that this particular work of Borobashi exists and is relevant for their research. And what's interesting, and these are particularly good when you're writing a literature review, it mentions contrasting views. And you can start filtering the responses, right? So if I just click to contrasting, then it will give me those 26 sources that mention Borobashi's work, but it refuses or refutes one or many of the claims made by Borobashi. And if you want to dig deeper into it, then what's specifically very comfortable with Scite is that it not only mentions the specific sources that disagree with Borobashi, but it also gives away that particular part within those sources that might be relevant for your particular assessment in how that paper related to Borobashi's paper. And if you want to view those sources closely, again, you can do that. You can click View Full Text. And again, if it's an open access source, then you can click on that particular paper and you can read it for yourself. And again, double check whether Scite has made a good job in categorizing this particular source as one that is refuting what Borobashi wrote. Right? So this is one of the very specific reasons why Scite is extremely helpful if you're writing a literature review. Because what are literature reviews for? Literature reviews are, the main purpose of them is for you to demonstrate that you are able to contextualize your own research. You know precisely what others already wrote in that particular field, and you are able to position your research relative to the already existing body of literature in that particular field, right? So that's the main point of the literature review. And this tool, which kind of categorizes the sources for you in this manner, can make your life extremely more easier. Then, another very useful thing about Scite is the assistant. So if you click on the assistant, this is what comes up. Here you can start asking questions about a specific topic. and ask it to generate a literature review for yourself. And now, again, this is the very point where I'm can be cautious enough in how you use Scite, because again, this will so we are now prompting Scite to generate a literature review on the role of TikTok in Russian misinformation related to the war in Ukraine. Prioritize peer-reviewed articles, policy studies, and media research that discuss TikTok's influence on public opinion, the spread of propaganda, and platform moderation efforts. So this is the prompt itself, and now you can play around with the settings. You can say that, okay, so the invasion started in 2022, so I'm interested in papers between 2023 and 2025, right? The reasoning effort should be high, response should be medium because I don't want to wait that much. It shouldn't process 100 sources because, again, I would just want to demonstrate to you the capabilities. I don't really want to wait that long, so I will get back to, let's say, 50 answers. Yeah, I click on apply. And now I click on the small arrow thing here, right? And it starts generating the answer for me. And what's particularly tempting about it, you will see that it doesn't just throw relevant papers at me, it also organizes it in a very logical structure. So it's very tempting to simply hit on the copy paste button, but please do not do that because, again, you would be breaching again the requirements of scientific referencing and academic integrity. And I'm saying this even despite knowing that, of course, AI detection tools are very poor. But nonetheless, I can tell you also if that any of your professors might have a reasonable and well-founded fear that you used AI tools in an unethical manner and decides to sit down with you to call you out on that, that will be like a 3-minute long conversation because it's very easy to pick out and to see whether or not a student is actually knowledgeable in that particular field or whether they just were just playing around with AI tools to generate responses. Right, so it's nearly finished. Here you can see on the right-hand side the publication it has consulted so far. Here are the top 50 publications that assistant used to draft the initial response. And here is the response itself. It's still generating it, but we can see the beginning already. Right, so the role of TikTok in Russian misinformation related to the war in Ukraine has emerged as a critical field of inquiry. And then it proceeds to give me specific, yep, now it's ready. Right, and you can see it provides me in-text citations in APA style. Right, so researchers have identified that TikTok can facilitate what has been characterized memetic warfare, and this assertion comes to Quillbot et al. From 2023. Now, if I want to click on this, again, to double check what he wrote, then I can just feel free to navigate myself to that particular page. It's very comfortable. It's here, and I could double check what I'm doing. Right, so it's and as you can see, it's quite long. It used a lot of sources, and it's very, very easy and very tempting to just start copy pasting. But again, please do not do that. What you can do, however, is to use this output of Scite as a source of inspiration, right? On a possible way of how you can put together pieces of the puzzle within a certain research field. Plus, you can have very good inputs on relevant papers for you that might have not been on your radar so far. Right, so that is Scite. I highly recommend it, but please use it with proper caution and consult your professors beforehand. Okay, so now moving to the next AI tool, which is Coral. Now, why do I want to show this to you? So now, if we already know what kind of literature is relevant for us, another important question is how to extract information for that particular source. Right? And you have numerous sites that do exactly that. You have askyourpdf.com, you have chatpdf, you have Docalesis, and so on and so forth. SciSpace is very good. What makes Coral AI particularly interesting are two things. First, you can consult multiple sources at the same time. Since I'm using the free version, I'm only allowed to upload 2 documents, but if you pay for the site, then you are able to upload as many documents as you want. Why is this useful? For example, let's say you are making a paper that includes the methodology of conducting semi-structured interviews, right? And you sit down with, I don't know, 10 CEOs, and you have 10 different documents containing their answers. So what you can do is to upload here all the 10 separate documents and consult them simultaneously, right? So what I did here so that's one of the reasons. The second is that Coral is also able to make a transcript of YouTube videos, right? So if you have a methodology that would require you to dig deeper into various social media aspects, and this is very good because you can upload the YouTube video's URL, and then what it does, if you just want to have a chat with that particular video, what it does, so here's one of my earlier training sessions. First, it provides a full transcript of that video, right? This in itself is already pretty useful, right? Because if you want it, you can just take this transcript and you can print it into a PDF, and then you can work with it separately, right? On your PC. Otherwise, you can start asking targeted questions here, right? So some of these questions are already provided because it's such a courteous system. So you can type this one: how does browsing with generative AI tools differ among platforms like Copilot, Perplexity, and Gemini? Let's ask this particular question, and voila. It not only provides the answer to that, but what's particularly useful, again, from an academic point of view, is that it also provides you the exact point where that particular answer is located. In this case, it's in page 2. So again, it provides you with the opportunity to double check whether it has made a good job in producing an answer for you, right? But if we go back to the initial page, so this is where you have the YouTube video plus one of the articles that I wrote together with the Artificial Intelligence Dean of the Corvinus University, which is called AI and Ethics, right? So I downloaded it's an open access article, I downloaded it, the PDF version, and uploaded it to Coral. And now what I want to do is to consult them both, right? So I click to chat all. Very good. And now what I'm going to do is to pose a question. Let's say I'm writing a paper on AI detection tools, right? And I want to have I want to consult these sources from that particular point of view, right? So I ask the question, what are the key ethical standards associated with the use of AI detection tools in evaluating the authenticity of university assignments as outlined by both sources, right? And then it starts generating the answer. And again, what's particularly good about it, it doesn't just generate me an answer, but it also provides me with the exact source where that answer comes from. So in this particular case, unreliability and caution use. AI detection tools are currently not sufficiently reliable to definitely distinguish AI-generated text from human-written text. In all cases, universities recognize this limitation and therefore recommend that these tools should not be used as the sole basis of punitive measures against students, and so on and so forth. And if I want to have more information on this, this can be found in the PDF I uploaded on pages 6 and 7. Right, and if we scroll down, you also have references from the AI Research YouTube video, no strict rules on proofreading and AI assistance. From the AI and Research video, it is noted that AI detection tools may incorrectly flag AI-assisted proofreading or editing as AI-generated text. So the recommendation is that proofreading with AI tools is generally acceptable if properly disclosed or approved by instructors, and so on and so forth. And then at the end it has a summary and provide you with a very neat reference of where you can find that particular part of the knowledge base that you used to generate the answer. Right, so this is Coral. Again, I highly recommend it. I was using here the free version, but if you have a research topic that requires you to deal with multiple documents, then I would certainly go on my way and pay for this particular tool, because it's very good. Right, so now moving on to our last two platforms. One of my favorites when it comes to stylistic issues is Quillbot. Quillbot, it has, as you can see, many different use cases. You can use it as a grammar checker, it has an AI detector, plagiarism checker, AI humanizer, which is not a nice thing. We can talk about it later if you want. Yeah, it has a summarizer, you can translate documents, but what I mostly use is the paraphraser. Right, that you have various styles to paraphrase in. Right, so here's where the text can be inserted, and then you can choose to increase its fluency, to have it restructured in a formal style, to have it rephrased in an academic style, which is something that I use quite often, or to be more creative, expand or shorten the sentence. So if I go to our example sentence, I created a sentence that is filled with grammatic mistakes by design, right? So I will try to again increase the image size so you can see. So this is very poor. As you can see, my Grammarly goes crazy about it. Right, so now what I would like Quillbot to do is to rephrase this in an academic style. What it will do, first of all, by default, it will correct all the grammar mistakes that you made. And second of all, it will change the overall tone of this particular sentences. So I click on paraphrase, and then voila. So what we have here is a totally new sentence. And one of the very neat functions of Quillbot is a so-called intelligent thesaurus. What does that mean? It means that if you can see here, there are certain words that appear in orange color. So those are the words that it actually changed within my sentence. But if I think that one of these sentence or one of these words is not good enough for my purposes, I can just simply click on it, and then I choose from the drop-down menu a more accurate synonym for that particular word. right? And this is a very good way, again, to fine-tune the style of your writing. A similar program that does almost the same, and it comes free of charge, because if you are using the free version of Quillbot, the academic style is not included there. So that's the paying option that you need for that. But if you want to have something that produces the same, you can start using Writefull, which is also a very nice tool. Voila. So Writefull has a very good add-on that integrates to Word. I will put this also here in the chat section so that you can try it. Here you go. And if you... Good. Yes, and if you click on that link that I sent to you, then you can initiate the add-on, and then you will have this nice little ribbon thing on the right-hand side here. All right, so this is how it will look like. And let's say that I'm not happy with the this particular sentence of my abstract. So what I can now do is to click on Rewrite, and I can select Make Scientific, right? So it's pretty much the same as Quillbot's academic style, right? And what it does, it suggests certain ways. It usually plays around with the adjectives. It's not as good as Quillbot in my point of view, and also it doesn't have the intelligent thesaurus thing, so you're not able to actually change anything. What you can do is to regenerate the whole thing if you are not happy with something that you see there. And again, if you are using this, what you need to, right, you can see that it's generating. And here you go. I ran out of daily options to use this particular tool. So that's, again, I was very happy to now show you the limitations of using free versions. But what you can do, there's also a button to just to insert the particular sentence that you generated. Again, that is something that you need to be particularly cautious with because at the end of the day, what your professors are expecting you to do is they should be able to differentiate what was humanly written and what was AI generated, right? So the closing remark from my side will be, and then we can move on to the Q&A section, is that there are a lot of tools. Feel free to use them, but please always use them in an ethical manner. And to know what's ethical or not, please always consult your professors.